Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening from wherever you are tuning in. My name is Angeline Constantinou. I am the founder, coach, and podcaster of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. So all new episodes are available. Please go to my website at letsbreakthesilence.com. And please like and subscribe to my podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple, and all the live streams. So please like and subscribe. And if you could give us a rating, we would really, really appreciate that to boost our visibility on To Break the Silence on domestic abuse. So my podcast focuses on breaking the silence and helping women find their voice, rediscover themselves, reinvigorate their life, and regain their power after domestic abuse. So today we have a special guest today. So her name is Nicole, and we are going to be talking about discovering love, balance, and belonging. So Nicole and I had the pleasure of connecting about a month ago, and it was really great. So let me just give you a brief. Let me introduce Nicole, okay? So Nicole, after almost a lifetime of people trying to tell me who I was, I developed the business, The 7 Candles. Like many women, life has been challenging for me. I have a learning disability, experienced generational domestic violence, sexual abuse, and I am an SRA survivor. Later in life, I finished my undergrad minoring in conflict resolution and business. I continued on to graduate to get my master's in industrial organizational psychology, where I was inspired to develop a powerful new personality model with my co-collaborator. What I saw was that many personality models did not discuss how personalities communicate. The focus was on identifying the self. I thought there is more to life than just the self, meaning we need to understand ourselves and other people. I wanted people to find their worth through balance so they could find healthy belonging in our world. I believe we are all part of the puzzle of this world, and when we are in balance, being the amazing person we are, living our destiny, we are creating a beautiful picture together in our community. So, without further ado,
Hi, Angeline. Hi, Angeline. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yes, and I am excited for you to be here on my podcast. So how are you doing?
Well, I am doing interesting, because I like to say interesting because it throws people off. We say the same things over and over again, and so we do the same thing over and over again. And, I think Einstein said it, when you repeat the same thing over and over again and look for different results, you're creating insanity. So why not do something different and say something different and kind of start thinking? Because when we start thinking differently, we can start creating something differently.
Exactly. So I just wanted to say this. If you are watching, for those of you who are tuning in today, we are streaming live on Facebook on my personal page, on my Facebook fan page, Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, and on my YouTube channel. So please let us know where you are tuning in from so we can give you a proper shout out. So here is George from Massachusetts.
Hi, George.
Lots of love. See? Those emojis. Hi, Mariel. Oh, hi.
Hi, Mariel.
I'm glad that you could catch this. Oh, my goodness. We have, yes, George with more hearts and fire emojis. Oh, Boston, Massachusetts. Wow. Mariel, that's amazing. I have a lot of friends who live in Boston. So, yeah. Anyway, so, Nicole, what is the time where you are right now?
Oh, my gosh. It's 1:12. I mean, the only problem with living on the Pacific Coast is we are like behind everybody. And then everybody moved here and decided they wanted to speed us up to their timeline. And I'm like, no, please don't. We like being a little bit slower here.
It is like 4:12 p.m. here. And, the day, like the sun is going to be going down in about 45 minutes. So you're still in the middle of your day, like lunchtime.
Exactly. And you know what can get kind of funny is like I'll talk to people on East Coast, and if they don't understand how far we're behind, they're like, I'll say, can we do it later, like 9 o'clock our time? And they'll go, oh my gosh, yeah, we'll have to do it at 9, and I don't get up early, and we'll schedule it at 9 my time. And I'll like, do you understand that's like 6:05 my time? We can't do that.
Oh my.
And so I had to learn when I did my undergrad, I did it on an online school.
Oh,
And I
okay.
had to really learn time zones. And still, you can kind of, especially when someone's like 12, 11 hours ahead, it can be quite interesting. So
Oh,
time
yeah,
zones can be fun.
absolutely. Scheduling
Yeah.
appointments. And I've been out to the West Coast. So, like, I know when I was at, I would attend conferences,
Mhm.
and it would be, let's see, 9 a.m. in Vegas and noon here.
Yeah.
And we're just getting our day started.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was fun, posting on Facebook, and the algorithm is saying, no, Angelina's out on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
8 a.m. and it's already 11 a.m. on the East Coast. So their morning is basically done. It's gone.
And culture is different too. That's what's interesting is you go to different parts of the US, the culture is different. And it's being honoring and respecting of that culture, and I think that's one of the things I've learned when I've traveled, is just how do you fit in and be honoring of that culture and still be honoring of yourself and the individualism, but yet be honoring of that culture because that's the collective there. So that's one of the things that is what the personality model that we've kind of talked about is
Right.
we have to, as a society, learn how do we honor ourselves, but yet be honoring of societal cultural and society itself.
Exactly. Absolutely. Let me just read some of the comments before we get started. Oh, you're in Natick. Okay. I know where that is. Mariel George, I grew up in Hyde Park, not far from Natick. Wow. Small world. See, this is the power of the internet. This is the power of social media to be able to connect from all over the country, including, this is my brother from another mother. Oh, from Dubai. You're in Dubai now? Hi, Nat.
Yeah.
Hi, bro. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Great to see you here. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. So, Nicole, let's get into who was Nicole.
Oh, I didn't know who I was for so long because I was isolated and so alone. And a lot of what happens in our society, and a lot of times parents don't realize this, and they like to tell us who we are, and they don't like us to discover who we are.
Right.
And they don't mean to because their parents did it to them.
Okay.
And what happens is this is what we've talked about is we have had a society that has created this is where when we get into the collective of society where we can cause damage and we can cause that domestic violence or that abuse cycle to continue.
Right.
And then we have this breakout of the individual where the individual voice gets so strong that it creates unbalance for the collective society to be not heard. So then this is this unbalance that goes back and forth. And that's one of the reasons of the personality model that we were working on that we realized is, hey, look, you need both because you do need to have that individual, but you do need to have that society and you need to have both because they're both important. And so my mother unknowingly did not know by her personality what she was doing and had created, not created, but had was following patterns and abuse continued to happen. And it set me up for domestic violence. Although some of the things she did by fighting back in domestic violence stopped me from continuing the pattern. And I didn't end up continuing to more and more and more in domestic violence situations. And it was very fortunate that I didn't last long in a domestic violence situation, which is very, very fortunate. And again, I was very fortunate in that aspect. I stood up to my ex-husband fairly quickly.
Good.
But yeah, it can be quite challenging. And we also have had a society where women have been very silenced, and we're just coming with the Me Too movement, which has been awesome. But back in the 80s and the 90s, it was really kind of, we were still blamed, even though women were in the workplace. And it was very challenging. I watched recently, and we were talking about this Working Girl,
Right.
and it was appalling what people were okay to get away with. And there's a particular model out there that is a similar to a personality model that the workplace uses that is not, from my understanding, okay with that has not been approved by certain psychological associations.
Right.
That was created by someone who did BDSM and inappropriate ethical things with his students. That's used still in the workplace. And a lot of people don't know that. And I'm not going to say what it is. And if people would research it, then they go, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it's because we're uneducated. And I didn't know about that until I watched the movie that came out about him. And then I researched it and I was like, oh, wow. And we have to start learning about a place of where we honor and respect ourselves, but we also honor and respect the other person.
Right.
And that's where that balance comes in. And we have not been taught in our society how to do that, how to walk in a way where we're communicating that, how we're communicating respectful language and understanding language. And I talk about this, it's about capability within context.
Right.
And that goes into the disability model that I talk about within the workplace. But that also talks about inclusion. The diversity is great, but the problem is diversity creates more diversity. When we create inclusion, we're including everybody. And we're not looking at each other's differences so much, because yes, differences are beautiful and we need to see each other's differences, because
That's true.
that creates innovation. But in that, we need to include everybody. We need to say, oh my gosh, you're amazing as you are. Let's use that difference as my difference. And how do we complement each other? And that's where the focus needs to be more into the inclusion aspect. And that's where I believe we need to move into. And we need to start healing these shatterings, because part of the reason we still have domestic violence is because people are shattered in their very being and their personalities, and it's handed down from generation to generation to generation to generation, and we are not healing that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So it's almost like we're trying to break generational curses.
Yes.
So how does one go about doing that? And I had a nice lady who I interviewed last year in December. She was able to break those generational curses.
Well, there's a variety of ways to break generational curses.
Okay.
And I believe that there's multiple modalities out there.
Good.
I don't believe there's one way, and I don't believe there's one way for anything. I never have. And I believe when you go into one-way thinking, it creates a box. I believe there's multiple perspectives for a lot of things. I also believe you need to go with what works best for you in the situation. I also believe you need to be careful, because there's negative energies out there and you can have things attached to you.
Right. Okay.
So I do follow Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. I do like a lot of their things. I do believe that sometimes it can be repetition. I believe that there's like Psyche, emotion code, EFT. There's also, that I have friends that are in the Christian realm that have done some other things. So there's all sorts of people. I talked to a woman who was doing some amazing things, helping birthing babies and releasing things through aromatherapy.
Wow.
And so she was amazing. And I think it just goes, I remember being mentored by a few older women a few years back, and they said, follow the peace. So I think it's an unraveling and following the peace. And going where you're supposed to go. Allow it to unravel, because it will unravel in the way it's supposed to. And if you force it, it's too challenging. I'm going to share a quick story. I
Oh,
I
good.
traveled to, and this will explain what I'm talking about. I traveled to Hawaii, and we were going to go swimming and swim with sharks, and then swim with dolphins. And we ended up swimming with this young boy, and he was so excited to get in the water, and then he got scared,
Okay.
and his life jacket on, and we kind of built a little rapport on the bus. And I went and sat and talked with him, and I talked to him about how I had to overcome my fear and had to do, because I watched my brother almost drown, and my grandma was afraid of water. So it was generational. And then I had a diving accident. I had a little scar underneath my chin. And I took a whole summer to put my face in the water. And I had to really work hard. And I watched a little girl fall off a diving board, and it was challenging, and how I kept working at it, but I had to give myself love and the thoughts and the EFT and the other things I was doing as I was doing it. And it was okay if he couldn't, and just really encouraged him, really loved on him, got back in the water, laughed,
Right.
and sat next to me on the bus the whole way back and became my best friend.
Wow.
It became a journey. My whole point in that is you love yourself through it. It's a journey, and you allow it to unravel the way it's supposed to. I never thought, and I wanted to swim again with my face in the water. I still a little challenged by it at times. I never thought that I would do an adult swimming class. I never thought, at first I had to have a desire. You have to have a desire. Second, you have to have a commitment. Third, you have to, after that commitment, you have to continue to take those steps there, but you have to give yourself that love and compassion, and then sharing it with others.
Exactly.
That was the other thing. When the opportunity arises, and that's the pattern, and then allowing the next thing to come and the next thing to come. And that's how it works. And it, again, I've done pranic healing. I've done deliverance. I've done all sorts of things, and all these things just keep unraveling, and they unravel like, when they happen.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Very interesting. Yeah. Very, very interesting. So I wanted to talk today about discovering love, balance, and belonging.
Mm-hmm.
I know you talk about that on your website. So tell us a little bit about that, the balance.
So when we came up with this model, we realized that the other personality models were great, but they really just talked about the self. And
Okay.
that's really, really good. We need to discover ourselves, but we're in community. So just discovering yourself isn't going to help when, like, I'm talking to you, Angeline. If I can't talk to you and communicate with you and know who you are and know how you communicate, it's not going to help me. I can know myself all the time. That's great. I'm home by myself, yay. I mean, great. I'm by myself, but I don't want to be by myself all the time. And not only that, I know myself, but if I'm not balanced within myself, that's not going to help me. So I need to know who I am, where my challenges are, how to accept myself in that challenge, how to be balanced within myself, how to explain that to someone else. And someone else needs to be able to do the same so we can have community. So that's why it was bringing balance and belonging. That's why we did the needs language, bringing balance and belonging, because we need these things, and we need to be balanced so we can have our belonging.
Interesting. So, can you please touch on the needs languages?
Yes.
Now, how would that apply to domestic abuse survivors, meaning someone who's coming out of, like yourself and myself, who came out of domestic abuse or any sort of abuse?
It would apply to everybody, in the aspect of, it applies to, I'm discovering that it can apply where you're shattered. So why you would want to abuse, and why you would be drawn to abusers, why you're attracted to someone,
right?
And how you can heal. I mean, and I'll explain the model, and then I'll explain, I'll explain more.
Good.
So the model is four types. The fours are control, right, value, and important.
Okay.
We are 2 out of the 4. And for friendships, we can be friends with anybody who has, we can be friends with someone who is exactly like us. But when we're dating, we meet people in one, and then we have a difference. So
Okay.
for example, I am a important value. I'm either going to date someone that has important or value. And then they're going to have something different. So like my partner is going to be, I like control value. So
Value. Okay.
I would prefer either to date a control value or a control important. Those are my preferred types. Some people don't know, but I will never date a control right, because a control right has nothing in common with me. There's no I to connect, which is an important, and no value. We don't speak the same language as our needs. So if I'm unbalanced in my important, I'm going to be, well, let me explain how each four work first.
Good.
So important people are your goal-driven people. They need to be seen. They need to be heard.
Right.
They are going to just be about priorities. They are going to be very focused. That's how important is going to can more manifest. Value people are going to be your cost benefit. They're going to be more emotional. They're going to be always wondering, is this going to benefit me? Is this going to cost me? Is it benefit me? Cost me? Yeah, always back and forth.
Right.
Right people are going to be right, wrong, good, bad. And they're more your thinkers. Value people are more your feelers. Control people are about the environment. They need all the steps. They need to know all the steps, what's going on. They need to feel like they know what their environment, And so you can see how if these get unbalanced, what's going to happen. So if you get shattered in any of these, you're going to be unbalanced. If you get wounded or you're not fed properly. So if I get shushed as an important person, I'm going to get louder because I need to be seen. If I don't get all the steps in my environment and I'm not able to control my environment or feel like I'm safe in my environment or feel like I can control my environment, what am I going to do? If I don't feel like I can be right in my environment or my environment can be right, or I mean, not my environment. If I don't feel I can be right, there's nothing right about me. This can't be right. My belief can't be right. I can't be right. Nothing can be good. Everything's bad. What's going to happen?
It's going to happen. Right.
Yeah. If I'm a value person and everything's costing me all the time. Nothing's benefiting me. What's going to happen? So this is any one of these people or any one of these can get out of balance and can cause domestic violence or be in a domestic violence situation. So the situation I was in, I figured out my ex-husband, we met in value.
Okay.
Very emotional. He was a right value. I'm an important value. He was with his mother. She was probably a control right, very strong, dominant alpha mother.
Okay.
And she did not handle things very well. And he was very shattered. And he really, I mean, again, right people are your thinkers, and if they aren't balanced in a good versus bad,
right,
or they don't feel they're good, and they don't know, they're always seeing something cost them, or they're wondering is a cost benefit, they're going to struggle. So we fought a lot, and I had been shattered myself. So we had met in the value. We both weren't balanced. We were fighting constantly. And all of a sudden, I'm pregnant. He wanted me to get pregnant, but he can't keep a job down. I'm finding out he's doing drugs. Has drug and alcohol problem.
Oh boy.
Did not know. And mother's nutty, calling me up, cussing me out. He's taking all my money, leaving me in debt, pregnant. What am I going to do? Living in domestic violence shelters, pregnant, trying to run me over with the car because he can't control his emotions. I can't control my emotions and value. I'm important, and so it ended up being a mess. And, I wish him the best, but he never healed his brokenness. And I mean, I don't know if he has to this day. I hope he has. I really want him to get well.
Right.
We connected in value. We connected in cost versus benefit. And I needed to heal me. Now I can connect with another person in cost versus benefit, or I can connect with another person in important. If they're healthier or healthy and they're more balanced, we're going to do well.
Right.
I am too. So this is where when we get, or we can get shattered. I realized my biological father was shattered in his importance. And so that sent him down some paths. And so if you get shattered in your importance and your belief, because I believe he's a right important. And there's no particular order with these. I don't ever say right, important, important, right, value, right. I say you choose, it's a discovery path. But my biological father, I believe, was shattered in his importance and his belief, and it sent him down some paths.
Wow.
When he was about 7 years old, when he found out his biological father was not his father, and the only person he met with his parents was in importance.
Oh my gosh.
Because his mother had no right. She had no importance. His father was a control important, I believe. And so the only place he met was in importance, and that was with his that was with his stepdad. So when he found out his stepdad wasn't his real dad, his importance was shattered, because then his belief was shattered.
Oh my God.
It sent him down a path. So these are how things can happen that can set you up to a belief that could set you up to domestic violence, to hurting yourself or hurting others.
Or hurting others, yeah.
Yeah.
See, never do that.
No.
Yeah, I never do that.
Yeah.
Well, what I would like for the audience to do, for those who are going to be watching the replay and for those who are live, if this is resonating with you, or it struck a bell, or you have some sort of an epiphany, please smash the heart button and let us know in the comments below. So I just wanted to read a couple of comments. Thanks, bro. I'm good too. That's good. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for supporting my cause. And Mariel says, I married my dad and my ex-husband married his mom. LOL.
Yeah, you do. Actually, I realized with my stepdad, that was the personality type I liked. And what's interesting with that comment, I told my son was struggling. This is a wild story. My son was struggling finding his personality type that he liked. And I looked at him and I said, your stepdad has this personality type. I like this personality type. This is what this is. And within 2 months, he found a girlfriend he likes, works perfect for him, exact personality type.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What a story.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're the first person who's actually talked about these personality types.
We came up with it. We actually developed off Jung and Hippocrates. We realized that no one's going to walk in and say, hello, I'm a chlorophoric. How are you going to spell that? We started looking at the models, and they were either too easy and too simple. Like I was watching something on YouTube, and they had 4 models, color red, blue, and they were describing it. And I was like, that's just too simple. You need a little bit of a combo, or they're too complicated. I mean, and I want something where you can go, I got it. That person's control. I know what they need. They need all the steps. And if I give them all the steps, they're going to feel safe. They're going to feel safe in their environment. Now I know how to work with them better. Oh my God. So my stepdad and I had a conversation, because I'm important. He's control.
Oh, okay.
He is about his environment being a particular way, and I need to be seen in the environment. Well, that's going to mess with his environment. And I'll share a funny story in a second.
Sure.
And so I went up to him and I said, I know I need to be seen in the environment, and you like your environment a certain way, and that messes with it. And our personalities conflict here. We meet in the value, but our personalities conflict here. So I'm going to tone it down a little bit, but I need you to understand that I'm going to need to be seen. So how can we work together and work around this. And he's like, okay, I get what you're saying. And so we're able to work through that conflict. This is a communication conflict resolution model.
Okay.
So it's really, really funny. I had bought him a shirt for I traveled to St. Louis, and I had gotten him a shirt that said #1 dad, bright red. St. Louis is his favorite team, Cardinals. And my partner who was with me said, why are you doing that for your stepdad? You know, he doesn't like to be seen in the environment. What are you thinking? He's control value. Don't do that. And I brought it to him, and he's like, what are you thinking getting me the shirt? Now, remember, I'm in important brain, not in value brain where we connect, not in control, because I'm not control.
Right.
And he looks at me and he says, why would you get me this? And I said, well, they didn't have #2, Dad. And he said to me, well, I guess that's a good point, you know? So we can have humor in this as well.
Right. Exactly. Interesting.
Yeah.
See, that's very interesting. Now, Mariel says, I was just like my ex's mom. Okay. Not sure if that came across.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is, very interesting. So how do you coach clients? What are the steps or the strategies that you use to, coach your clients? Because this is very interesting when you're talking about these modalities and, the different types. So how do you go about, coaching someone who has come out of domestic abuse?
Well, first of all, it's going to depend on what they want.
Okay.
And what are they needing and what are they wanting? If they are wanting to go down the path of just, I need to heal and learn how to bring balance to myself and make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Right.
Then we're going to talk about how was that person able to tap into you, and how can you be more aware when someone's starting to tap into you that you are not feeling safe about, or see the warning signs, because that's another thing. You can see, I can start to tell when someone is starting to tap into me that doesn't have good intentions, and I know how to go like this.
Okay.
And that isn't you're tapping into me, don't do that. That's not nice. You don't have to say anything. You go like this spiritually, or so we're body, soul, and spirit. And you can, in your emotional, spiritual component of your, go like this.
Right.
And they'll pick it up and they'll be like, what's going on here? And they'll move on to the next person. They may not even know they're doing it, but they'll move on.
Okay.
And there are words you can say, things you can do, and there are ways to break the connection and the soul tie, or the energy tie.
The energy tie. Okay.
The energy tie. So those are things I would work with, how to make sure that people can't connect into you, how to break energy ties. So in that part, I would also work with making sure that you aren't afraid, because that is a magnet for people to come after you or people to sniff out.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How does one get out of that fear mode? Because like for me, I was able to step into my own truth.
Yeah.
And step into my own power and take ownership. So instead of playing the victim, some women still do, they're playing the victim. Time to take ownership, time to let go, time to let go of those self-limiting beliefs.
There's I like a Bible verse that I heard one time, and the way I do it is a little different. It was, perfect love casts out all fear, because fear has torment.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Where'd that come
from? And love covers a multitude. Love covers a multitude of fear.
See?
Love just covers fear. And that's not a Bible. I kind of switched it up a little bit, but it was, love covers a multitude of sins, but I say love covers a multitude of fear. Love just covers and holds you like in a blanket with the fear. And it just it cuddles you and holds you through the fear so you can walk through it. And so what I just say is, just hold me through this fear. Love, help me release this fear. Just cuddle me and walk me through it.
There you go.
The fear has torment. And love is what helps you release fear. And when you know you're loved, you're able to release the fear. And that's how I do it.
And there's a saying, love always wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
So push the fear out and love.
Yeah.
Allow love to come back into your life.
Yeah.
Especially self-love.
Yeah.
Because it's important to love yourself first before you love others.
Yeah.
So, especially for someone who's healed from trauma, and you've made great strides. You've done amazing, and you have a business. So how long did it take you to reach that point?
Oh, it took years. A lot of people, this is where I get really upset with our society.
Yeah.
Because being a satanic ritual abuse survivor, people, that's what SRA stands for.
Oh, I was going to ask you what that stood for. Okay.
People don't understand that. This is where I get really frustrated with our society. I have no problem. This is where I really firmly believe. I have no problem with wealth. I believe people should have wealth, and I believe there should be some people who have more wealth than others. I'm okay with that. What I do not agree with is when you have wealth where you're not paying your employees and they cannot have a living wage, and you have so much wealth that you have 5 yachts and your employees can't afford diapers. I don't agree with that.
Well, I don't agree with that either.
And I do not agree with when you are expecting the majority to take care of the people who are struggling in our society, to take care of the homeless situation, and you're living in a mansion and you're doing nothing. I don't agree with that. Mm-hmm. And so I personally think that our society needs to have more compassion with people who are in homeless situations, because a lot of them, I believe, have experienced SRA situations. And in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was a pretty big thing that was going on. And back then, they would call a lot of people liars. They called people liars for sexual abuse. They blame women for domestic violence.
Right.
And they told people who were SRA survivors that it wasn't happening, or it didn't happen. And people were saying it was more predominant than it was. And so for several years I had to, and what happens is when you are in that kind, and I wasn't like living on the streets, in those kind of situations like a lot of people were. I don't know how I was able to get in domestic, I was able to find a way to survive and not be like what a lot of people are on our streets of Portland.
Right.
But you end up with a deer in headlights look because you were so traumatized, and people do not come near you. They just, because they don't know how to handle your situation. Right. And very few people do. And there's very little compassion. And so I had to spend a lot of time alone learning how to revamp myself, learning how to redesign myself.
Okay.
And I believe part of the personality model came from that, because I had to, who do I want to be? What do I want to look like? How do I want to be? And it took a lot of time, and having a disability on top of that, I've met one person in my life, and I'm 50 years old, that has a disability similar to mine. They have groups for brain trauma. They have groups for sight impairment. Wow. They have groups they don't have anything for auditory and visual processing disorder, or, what I have. And so it makes it even more isolating and alone. And so you have to spend a lot of time revamping and healing and doing a lot of work. And so we have to give time in our society when people have been traumatized, especially severely traumatized, and to heal so that they can get back into the world, and then not punish them because they spent 10, 20, 15 years healing, especially if they had to do most of it by themselves, or if it takes someone 5 years versus 10 years. It takes people different. And I really believe our schools need to have DBT in them, dialectical behavioral therapy, which is therapy, which is skill-based, training kids on like emotional regulation. Marsha Linehan wrote it. Fabulous. She took a bunch of therapies and put it together. Right. just skill-based therapy. I believe that kids need, after high school, a year of deep therapy, not talk therapy. That's shown it doesn't work. Of EFT, emotional Psych K. Like I said, I can't think of it. The one that Bradley Nelson wrote. Emotion Code.
Emotion Code. I've heard of it. Yes.
Any one of those modalities that show take a year off, that they are just doing that emotional, that career exploration and emotional healing to prepare them for the workplace. They just need that. I just firmly believe that. Prepare them, skill-based training, just skill-based training, emotional release of the negative energies out of their being, and then get them in the workplace.
Exactly, because that's important, because if you don't release the negative energies, it's going to affect the work. It's going to affect their career. It's going to affect the workplace too.
Their bodies, which will affect the workplace.
Physically, absolutely. So it's a process.
Yeah. So what's the process?
It's a healing process. That's what I'm trying to say.
And there's plenty of money out there to do it. The problem is we are not looking at how to appropriate it. It's an abundance mindset. And that's where we need to go into an abundance mindset and look at it as, if we take care of ourselves now and our society now, we will end up prospering in the long run. If you look at the statistics, in 2015, we had a 20%, look at the CDC statistics. We had a 20% people, 1 out of every 4 Americans were diagnosed with a disability. In 2018, it went up to 25%, 1 out of every 5. And we still have a 2 to 3 times higher unemployment rate for people with disabilities, which tells me there's a lack of understanding. People within, it's basically capability within context. That tells me we are not dealing with the root issues of just people's abilities. And then I listened to what was on your website. Domestic violence went up during the pandemic.
Yes, it did.
And so we are not dealing with our emotions. We are not dealing with our personalities and the way it communicates. And because of this stuff, we are creating more and more sickness. We are creating more and more abuse, which creates more and more sickness, which creates less jobs, which creates more poverty, which creates more and more problems. And so we've got to spend time doing this. We've got to spend time discovering how each of us are amazing and ourselves, and working together.
Exactly.
Not dividing, working together.
Right. Not dividing and making it political.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I've said this on my other podcasts too, that domestic violence, there's a stigma. And it's ignored. It's shoved under the carpet.
Yeah.
So by doing all these, the energy healing and everything, we'd be a better society. I mean, yeah.
Well, or what about jobs having a counselor, a psychologist on staff that you could go to, that your employer knows nothing about when you're having these conflicts?
There you go. Oh, yeah.
You're going to have better employees. I mean, actually, studies show, and you can look this up too, retention and employment, when it costs companies more. That is one of the highest things that costs companies is retention. And it's because they're not happy. When employees are happy, they're going to have a higher retention, which ends up meaning that it's going to cost the companies less, which means they're going to have more innovation. And when you have more innovation, then you have more productivity, you have more abundance. Again, comes this whole cycle. You want more abundance. There you go.
There you go. And I agree with you. All employers need that. They do. Because I used to work in corporate America. Mm-hmm. So I come from that corporate America business model, like I was in sales. Mm-hmm. And, although I did well, there was something inside of me that was stirring. Yeah. So instead of firing the employee, have them go, have them seek help, because it's better for the environment. Because you know what it is? Mm-hmm. I call it the crash and burn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too much of that.
Yeah.
Too much of that. There's too much, crash and burn, and instead of trying to help it, I know that the person needs to help themselves, but if they're willing to go, let them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's better for the company because, like you were talking about the retention rate. They would have a much higher retention rate because each time you hire a new employee, it costs them money.
Yeah. Well, it costs you money to fire someone too, because if they go to unemployment, you're going to have to show up at that unemployment hearing.
That's right. That's right.
It's going to cost you money. Cost you money to put that ad out. Cost you money to interview. I mean, it's just, it really, everything is we have got to come to a place where we see each other as not a commodity, but as each other as a partnership. When you're in a healthy partnership, you're going to want to value and honor each other. When you really see that, when you do something wrong, you're going to go, or you do something hurtful, or you realize, oh my gosh, it was a little harsh there. You're going to come back and you're going to go, I was a little harsh there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where my partner and I are a little different. And we have a relationship book coming out for Valentine's Day, by the way. We have a Bringing Balance and Belonging.
Actually, I was going to ask you, where can people find the relationship?
It will be on our Amazon book.
Hold on one second.
Amazon. It will be on Amazon, the same link area.
Okay, you're there? Okay, sorry. I hit the wrong button. All right. Okay, sorry about that. All right. So where can people find the relationship book?
It will be in the same area as the we don't have a link for it yet. It will be in the same area as the other books are, the Bringing Balance and Belonging, the Needs Language Bringing Balance and Belonging, with the one with dating and the one with parenting. And the dating one is on Kindle Unlimited for free. Okay. And we're keeping that one on Kindle Unlimited for free.
Oh, good.
And so everyone can always have access to that. But the relationship one is going to be coming out for Valentine's Day. And what we noticed is the different styles in my important and my partner's control. They need all the details and I need it short, sweet. I'm ready to go out the door. So how do we create a place of honoring each other in that?
Right.
And that's where that communication comes in, because it can also complement each other. Exactly. And so this is where we need to come and start looking at each other and seeing how do our differences conflict? How do they complement? How do our sames conflict? And how do they complement? And how do they work together?
Right. Exactly. So that's coming out on Valentine's Day. Now, where can people reach you?
They can reach me on Facebook. I have a 7 Candles Facebook. I do have the 7 Candles website. You have to put the 7 Candles. Otherwise, you're going to end up somewhere weird.
Okay.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. I know. Just typing it. What is the and your website again?
The7candles.com.
Okay.
And then I have a YouTube channel, The 7 Candles. And we're still working on getting our social media up a little bit more, but I do have a Facebook page. And you can see Nicole Schur on Facebook. Message me. Again, I'm so excited about this model, because this model I think it's a gold mine. I think it's a new way of communicating that's super easy. I contacted my conflict resolution department from the college I went through, and he read the thing, and they put me in the conflict resolution newsletter this last spring. So, this last winter, and I was just like, yay, because this is again if people can learn this model, we can have the possibility of having less domestic violence, because you can heal your shatterings. You can learn. You can go, oh my gosh, I'm a priority person. I need things short and sweet. You need all the details. You're driving me crazy with giving me the whole details. I can't, it's too much, you know, that's overstimulating for my brain. See, I think a lot of times with domestic violent people, they're overstimulated and they're not able to communicate. And if they can learn the words, I'm overstimulated.
Wow, see that? Oh, that's true. They are overstimulated. Absolutely. 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 So I just want to make sure this is right. You're
7candles.com. Yep.
okay, got it. So everyone, please, if you would like to reach out, and do you do like a discovery call with them?
I'm willing to, I am open. I can do a 15-minute discovery call. Yep. If I'm the right person, great. If I am not, you need to find the right person. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I may not, you may be, so I know control right people may struggle with me because I'm just gonna be like, you know, we may not meet in anything. And I may even be, it may be something else. I mean, but you may fall in love with me and go, oh my gosh, you are just like the most amazing thing since sliced bread.
Right.
Since Wonder Bread. Or you can go Wonder.
So, all right, everyone. So Facebook, so you can reach Nicole Shear on Facebook and the 7 Candles, which is her Facebook page. And also you can reach out to her at the7candles.com and she will do a 15-minute discovery call to see if you're a great fit. And let me just put out the relationship book will be coming out on Valentine's Day. So that'll be on your website, correct?
That will also be on my website page. Sure. Yep. And again, we're super excited. The relationship book will be a little different than the parenting one and the dating one. We're gonna have a little humor in this one because you need a little humor in your relationship. That's what helps you survive.
It can't be all serious now.
No, and that's and that's what we love. I mean, and that's one of the things I love about the needs language too, is there's a lot of humor in it. And we end up laughing a lot of times. Again, I told you the red shirt, you know, why would you get me? Well, they didn't have number 2 dad, you know? I mean,
exactly.
You can have so much humor with this. And so, I mean, I'm really excited to do this because my heart is so that people can find balance so they can find their belonging. And part of balance is that healing. And I know for me that even though I didn't fully discover this model until like it's been about a year and a half, and it was more my partner and I, my co-collaborator and I discovering it. That's what I mean by partner, my co-collaborator and I discovering it.
Okay.
When we discovered it, we were like, holy moly. And I had been on a journey myself and I didn't realize it was coming to discovering this. But that healing journey was so powerful to coming to this point of discovering it that words can't describe the gratitude that I have to this model. Because it can provide the healing. It's provide healing with my mother and I, because we don't speak the same needs language, to have an understanding. It's provided healing to explain to people who I am so I don't get silenced, and to understand other people so I don't silence them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour, and I really enjoyed this today because it's important. I'm glad that you were on my platform to bring awareness of this. So in closing, what is a special message that you would like to share with the audience who is tuning in today, and for those who will be listening to the podcast?
I think one of the most important things I would like to share is that you all are amazing and have things to bring, and that it's just really finding your true, authentic self and going through that discovery process, and that it is challenging, and it doesn't have to be, but I mean, it can be. But as you do, you will find happiness. You will find that, oh my gosh, this is who I am. And I love me because this is who I am. This is what I've been created to be. And you're happy. You really, really are. I got to tell you, when I really accepted me and then I was able to accept seeing other people's beauty, and even though it's different than me, I've been happier than I ever have been. And so it's a lot of work sometimes, but it's worth it. And you know, you're valuable, you're worth it, you're worth discovering that. And it is okay to be control with
Mm.
imbalance. It is okay to be right with imbalance. We need our right people. We need our control people. We need our important people, and we need our value people. Every one of these is vital to our world, yet just need to be in balance. So
Yes,
if
you
anyone
do.
tells you it's not okay to be right, they're full of malarkey. Or control, they're full of malarkey. Or important, they're full of malarkey or value. You just got to be in balance. That's it.
That's it. There you go, everyone. There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. Nicole, thank you so much for being on my podcast show today. Blessings and love to you. Oh my God, you're doing amazing things. You are doing amazing things. And George says, thank you.
Thank you, George.
Oh, thank you, George. George is a staunch supporter of my cause. So,
Awesome.
so thank you so much for being on the live on my podcast show today. So for those of you who are listening today, and for those of you who will be catching the replay, please like and subscribe to my podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google, Apple, and all the live streams. And you can catch all our new episodes, which are at letsbreakthesilence.com. So I wish you all an amazing day. Nicole, please stay for a little bit after the broadcast is over. This broadcast is over, and we will see you on the next live. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have an amazing week.
Have a great week. Have an amazing, abundantly blessed week.